fuel tanker explosion has burned nearly 100 people to death in Nigeria. Police say the tanker crashed on a road in the country's Niger Delta, and when villagers rushed in to siphon off fuel pouring from the tanker, it exploded. Tragedies like this not uncommon in Nigeria, where people live on less than $2 a day. Vlad Dutier joins me now from Uyo in Nigeria. Vlad, bring us up to date on the latest on the toll and what actually happened.
Hi, Michael. Well, as you mentioned, tanker crashed at about 5 a.m. this morning. At around 7 a.m., between 6:30 and 7 a.m., some villagers actually came out with buckets, with plastic buckets, to try and pick up the fuel that had spilled from the accident. And in doing so, the tanker caught on fire, and more than 95 people were killed during that fire. It's pretty sad because this is a way that most people don't have a lot here, and so I think they thought this was an opportunity for them to actually get some extra fuel to fire up their homes, to fire up their generators. And in fact, the driver had warned the villagers to not try and pick up the fuel, not try to get any of the fuel that had spilled onto the road. But I think in desperate times, people just figured that this was a great opportunity for them to actually get some fuel. And in doing so, the fire, we're not exactly sure how the tanker or the fire it started, but with people just rushing to pick up this fuel, some 95 people were killed. We're told there's still about 18 people that are in the hospital that are critically injured, and we're told that those numbers could rise, Michael.
Yeah, and Vlad, as we said, this has happened before. Talk a little bit more about that economic irony or economic tragedy, really, that in an oil-rich country, people are that desperate.
That's right, Michael. Most Nigerians live on less than $2 a day. And you would think that in a country that produces, that has the 8th largest proven oil reserves in the world, that people wouldn't be so desperate to just try and scoop up just a few drops of fuel or whatever they could with plastic buckets. But that's exactly what happened here. And in doing so, the tragedy occurred. I think that this is probably something we spoke to someone from the National Emergency Management Agency, and in a statement that they released, they said that, disasters like this will happen, and they just have to be ready to deal with them. But it is unfortunate and sort of a sign of how the state of things in Nigeria, that the people who live in a country that produces so much oil, in fact, lost their lives just trying to get a few drops of fuel for themselves.